it in the north side, looking for a vibe on the Friday night shit. Ain't that right? Me and both my niggas kick it in the north side.
What's up, guys? This is Kontent Kingz. You are now Summer Royalty.
Yes,
This
sir.
is our third episode, okay,
Yeah.
officially. Shout out to everybody. My name is Drew.
It's your boy Carson.
It's Khalil.
My name's Kyler.
This is Germ.
Okay, so
Yeah.
before we begin, I got to make a major shout out to one of our guys here. Kyler, King Kyler,
Yes, sir.
has passed his
What'd I do?
entrance exam.
Oh, thank you.
So let's give it up for him.
Thank you. I passed my NCLEX exam. By far, one of the hardest things I ever had to do. You know, leading up to that point, a lot of people said it was tough. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But after going through it myself, it's like, yeah, that shit was tough.
Yeah, so, I mean, we appreciate you, man. You know,
Congrats,
you're in the
bro.
I
field
appreciate y'all.
with a lot
It's
of...
the perfect time to be a nurse.
Man, they need you.
Hey, so look, if you know any hiring managers and whatnot, hit me up because I'm definitely looking for a job.
Tap
Bet.
in.
Tap in. All right, so a lot of stuff has went down since we've been with each other last. Thanksgiving happened. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thankful for y'all.
Very thankful. Yeah.
Free
And for all of you.
agency happened, right, in the
Mhm.
NBA, which was major, right? This was a pretty good free agency. For people who don't understand how free agency works or why it's exciting, you really just don't know what's going to happen, right? And so if you are connected with these guys, these players, and these teams, you kind of want to know how they do in free agency because it could be really good for the team or detrimental. It could kill them if they
Or
don't
you
do
can
well.
just do nothing.
Unless
Yeah.
you're the Lakers, then you know.
And then you
come
level
out-
up.
You come out on top.
Right. So I see it like a suspenseful movie. You really don't know what's going to happen sometimes. There's always someone that surprises you. Like this year was Montrezl Harrell, who surprised everybody.
I was gonna say, and then you definitely get to see some interesting partnerships and like team ups.
Yeah.
Exactly.
People you thought who weren't friends.
Mm-hmm.
People you
Mhm.
thought their play styles probably couldn't match with each other.
Yeah.
Kind of like a puzzle type of thing.
And it's interesting, too, when certain players that were, on teams that are bad, they might go to situations where their role completely changes, but they're ready to win, right? Like a player that is taking a lesser role to join a better team. And you got to respect that. Dudes want to win.
Yeah. I feel that.
So with that being said, I think personally the biggest acquisitions, I'll give you my top three, were Bond re-signing with the 2 years, $85 million.
Huge.
Big extension.
LeBron James.
AD also coming back for 5 years. So we got him locked
Locked
up
in.
for his
Man.
prime, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His entire prime.
Basically, yeah. My second biggest was Drew Holiday. I personally don't think he gets the credit he deserves on any level. But I mean, that's
Mhm.
obviously a media thing. But
Yeah.
NBA players know what's up with him.
I feel that.
Yeah, the Bucks are definitely going to be. They got better. I think at the same time, though, they took a big hit by not being able to finish that deal with Brogdon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what happened, they made a trade for Brogdon, a sign-and trade. And as suspenseful as free agency is, sometimes Brogdon said, I don't want to go there,
Yeah,
right?
he said, you didn't even ask me.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So he just said, nah, I'm going somewhere else, right? So they basically like lost players and didn't get him in return.
I don't think the trade actually went through, though.
It didn't, but they let Wes Matthews walk, I think,
Right.
thinking they were going to get Brogdon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they were going to lose people like DiVincenzo,
Yeah.
DJ something. He's like the second string center. A couple
Yeah.
other pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to look back, too. They also let Malcolm Brogdon go before, and that was a dumb move. And, as a team that has the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, you'd think they might want to bring in some better players. And Drew Holiday is a great player, but that definitely hurt them to lose Bogdanovich.
Yeah. Then my last one, which happened, what was it, yesterday, was the John Wall, Russell Westbrook trade.
Yeah,
think
that was
that was-
crazy.
That's going to
H-Town
change either
for real.
one of these.
It's bleeding in H-Town, as
I
one of
don't-
our friends
I didn't
said.
wanna say it.
It's bleeding in H-Town.
I don't want to say it because I'm not that guy. I'm almost that guy. If you've seen our Instagram,
I'm that guy. I'll say it. It's bleeding in H-Town.
But yeah, honestly, I think Houston won that trade.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of the real professionals who say this, but they think the Wizards won the trade just because they had to send over a first round pick too.
Yeah.
Which I get, but if John Wall's healthy, he's what Harden needs.
I think both teams won the trade. I think John Wall is a much better fit for James Harden, and I also think that Russell Westbrook is a much better fit for Bradley Beal. But I think if one team had to do better next year, of course it's going to be the Rockets. They made a lot of other acquisitions that are going to go well.
I don't know how it's going to be with Bradley. Like, he can play off ball, but we'll just have to see. But
But
he's also back with Scott Brooks, and
Yeah.
they've had success together.
Yeah, so Bradley can play off ball. The problem with James and Russ,
They're on ball.
they're both on ball, right?
feel
So
that.
both teams, I think, won with that. But I personally think the best thing that happened over this free agency was Klutch Sports in general. They got a lot of recognition. If you guys don't know Klutch Sports, it's basically LeBron James' agency. LeBron James and Rich Paul, both African-American men.
Revolutionized.
Revolutionized
the way
really
it
the
works.
way that players are taking over their own destiny, going to places they want to go. And it was more apparent this season than ever before.
And getting in the bag.
Big move.
Big money.
Big moves. Most of the players who got really big deals were all under Klutch Sports.
Yeah.
So and the guy who runs Klutch Sports, right, never went to college, right? So it's really an inspirational story for anybody out there who wants to run their own business and believe in themselves. Just basically understanding that, like, you really just need $1 and a dream, right? And
And
the right connections.
Yeah, but you don't even need, if you can get the respect of that one person. I mean, obviously LeBron's respect is a big deal, but if you get someone who's doing great things and you want to collaborate with them in any way, their respect goes way further than having 20 connections, right?
Right. And I don't know if you guys know this.
Don't screw
but,
people over. Yeah.
When LeBron started his career, Rich wasn't even his manager or his agent.
I don't even think they knew each other then.
No, they
No,
grew up with each
yeah.
other. But from the stories that I've heard, he didn't want to put Rich in that position until he was ready. Because I'm LeBron James. So if
I
you're
feel
gonna
that.
do this, I need you to be ready, type of thing.
And he was ready.
And shout out for LeBron for believing in his boys, because a lot of his entourage and business partners are people he grew up with, and you got to respect that, because a lot of dudes will get to a certain level and then switch up, right, or start working with people that are in the industry per se. And LeBron did it his way with his people, and you got to respect him for giving them careers, pretty much.
When a lot of people thought that was stupid too. Like
Yeah.
when he did that switch for Rich Paul, they thought he ruined his career with that because he was with a big time agency.
Mhm.
Right.
What were you gonna say, Kyler?
I was gonna say another good point to make with what Carson was saying is it's not only a shout out to LeBron, but it's a shout out to the people around him, because he could have put him in a position to succeed, but they could have not executed.
Right.
But they got all their stuff right and correct before. Like LeBron was saying how he didn't want to put him in that position, but I feel like Rich Paul probably didn't want to be put in that position either. Like you don't want to represent your homie.
And
who's-
not do a good job.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
ruin
he's
that
like the
friendship.
biggest athlete, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like you want to make sure you know your stuff and you're on top of your stuff before you come and do something or like make that big of a move. You know what I mean? So
Right.
shout out not just to LeBron, but shout out to the people around him who also wanted to grow with him.
Right.
They stepped up.
Not just use him, but grow with him, which is a major thing
Mhm.
that a lot of people struggle with.
Right. So talking about Rich and his company. So we kind of mentioned Trez. That was a big pickup from the Clippers.
Yeah.
So how do we feel about that?
I liked it. My inside sources with the Clippers, they were kind of upset. If you don't know, I work with the Clippers on the side a little bit, so I have a little inside information.
Right.
Laker game. Excuse me.
It's still Laker gang till I die. It really is. But I got to get this check. But but I liked it. I think it was the perfect move for us. I think the Clippers bounced back too, getting Serge Ibaka like they did. I think if you had to replace
Mhm.
somebody,
Mm-hmm.
Serge was a nice pickup for
See,
them.
And that's what I was telling you. I had an amazing stat for y'all. So I saw this on TV and I just confirmed this morning. But did you know James Harden averaged more blocks per game than Ibaka last season?
I actually saw that on TV today. I
That's
did,
great.
I think next season that'll change, and I think it really just was because of how they played this year. James Harden playing like the 4 sometimes. But I got to give it up to James too. James stepped up on defense.
I don't think
was-
that is an excuse though either.
I was
'Cause,
gonna say I didn't really see I didn't watch too many games that Serge was playing, but seeing James's on ball defense, like I feel like he surprised a lot more people than
it's because he's trying now.
It's coming
Just
from
him,
him like
it's like weak
guarding people
side.
driving.
It's like weak side stuff too.
Weak
Yeah.
side stuff.
I mean, he's still doing it though.
No, he respect to him for that, because he used to be a terrible defender. But I think it's also a little bit about the pace at which the Rockets play. So there's a whole lot of possessions in the game.
And the Raptors play a totally different pace. And
But
I
they're a
think
defensive
James-
team though.
yeah, but that's my
True.
thing. I think Serge's
stopped-
role was a little different.
Yeah, granted he was coming off the bench,
Like,
but I
yeah.
mean that's still you have a 6'6" guard out blocking Serge Ibaka.
I'm with you.
But
Yeah,
then,
I'm
but
with you.
then
I
it's
was
fair-
surprised by that stat.
But then it's fair because, like you said, James is getting more playtime, but then on top of that, how you were saying the schemes that they run, I feel like the defensive scheme is less set up for them to funnel to Surge for blocks. If that makes sense.
Most definitely.
And
Like
too,
Surge didn't have to get as many blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
because of
wasn't necessarily the
their
shot
defensive scheme.
blocker on his own team
yeah,
this year.
I was about to say
Mhm.
granted too. A lot of times he was playing with Mark, so I mean, one or the other is going to get a block.
Yeah, yeah.
And where did Mark end up?
Lakers.
You
Lakers.
feel me?
Lakers.
So yeah, I also thought with Trash, it was a big pickup because I mean he's filling the void of a backup power forward, and also if you want to go small ball with AD at the 5, you insert him at the 4.
Facts. And he's the best scorer, one of the best scorers in the game.
At that position.
You know, so it gives us more points, which we really struggled with sometimes when AD or LeBron wasn't in the game.
All right.
Yeah, I think the Trez pickup just shocked everybody in general.
Yeah. And,
Like, I
especially-
did not see it at all.
and he's one of those players, I admit, you hate him when he's not on your team, but as soon as he signed on the Lakers, I lit up. He's an energy guy. He rebounds. He plays hard. And he's young. He's going to be on the team with
Only
AD.
27.
Yeah, if we bring
Oh,
him
yeah.
back, he's going to be there for a minute.
Yeah.
So
And he's a cool dude. You know, I've met him a couple times. You know, he's a cool dude. He's a nice guy.
Word. Okay.
just had to.
All right. I just had to plug that in there. So I want to talk about the deeper impact of sports, though, in the communities. Shout out Christine. She gave us the suggestion. We kind of already, had our own little thing we're going to do with LA, but she really set this up. So I want to give you that shout out. So what do you guys think about the connection between sports and LA in general? Because this was a pretty good year for us,
Mhm.
right?
I guess it's how you grew up watching sports. Like if you were just like, I'll watch it every now and then, it might not have a significant meaning to you. But I guess for us, we all like basketball. So I mean, one person we can all agree on is Kobe.
Right.
Yeah.
And like growing up, we literally grew up watching him. Like he got drafted in '96. We were all born in '96. So we from the jump, we've seen him grow from what we can remember until what
Yeah.
he was. And just watching him is kind of like losing that figure. And the community was big because I mean, obviously he did a lot of philanthropy and stuff like that. A lot of things behind the scenes that we
The
probably
Mamba
don't know
Academy.
about. That
Yeah.
all kind of stuff. But just like we idolized him, we saw,
Mhm.
like I said, we saw him mature, grow through all his trials and tribulations, and just regular people like us saying, hey, if this 18-year-old can go through these things and jump through these hurdles, this is something we can do, and just making LA the championship town that is known to be, although Inglewood's the city of champions, but LA can take that moniker.
So that. What you thinking?
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit it on the head. Kobe was a hero to a lot of us. I think, as sad as it was for him to pass away so early, the way you saw so much of his impact through other people, right? The lessons that he taught them and the way that he, you felt his legacy all over the world, all across sports, all across different fields and races and ages, right? I mean, that's kind of a testament to his 20 years as a Laker. And, I mean, growing up here, it's always going to be he's always going to be special to all of us for reasons on and off the court.
What you think, Khaled?
No, yeah. Kobe had a really big reach, and then just to hop on Khalil's point, growing up, he was the Jordan of our time. Like, I don't want to get too much into the GOAT discussion and whatnot, but for the people that are older than us who grew up watching Jordan, that's what Kobe was to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And growing up, I know this point is made a lot, but I know when you throw stuff away, it's like, Kobe, you hit that fadeaway in the trash can, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, as you were saying, the philanthropy that he did, I remember watching this series or like a video of him going out to Skid Row and like trying to reach out to them and see what he could do for that community. And it was crazy because one of the things that he mentioned was you can't really help anybody if they're not looking for the help.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's like certain things that he said, it was just like you realize how wise he was and how much he grew as a person. You know what I mean? Like you realize, yeah, he might have skipped college, but in terms of like where he was mentally, I feel like he was definitely ahead of his time.
He definitely was.
No, yeah, most definitely. I think the reason why LA and even kids like us, we saw his greatness so early, because I think when we were starting to ride with Kobe, I don't think he was necessarily that guy
Right.
yet, but
Yeah.
we just cultivated towards him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it had a lot to do with us understanding that it's a process to becoming great, and we were able to see that whole process with Kobe's, the ups and downs, and it really represented to me LA itself.
I think, not to interrupt you, but I think what kind of brought us in initially is his swagger.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
if you
for
look at
sure.
the old stuff, you can just see he's different.
Yeah, and he's young too. Like, you know, he came in as a baby, right?
Yeah.
He looked like a baby too. So it's like, oh, this guy looks, I'm not gonna rock with these old heads. I'm gonna rock with this young kid.
Right.
So with that being said, it's like when you're in LA or Long Beach or whatever, LA, there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs no matter what, you come from, your background.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna come across a couple of good people. You're gonna come across probably a lot more bad people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a couple of wins. You're gonna have a couple of losses. But it's just how you handle it all. And with Kobe, I think we were able to see someone that we could like embrace and picture ourselves being, and how he handled all those situations, even down to like his case that he had. Like everything that he did, he handled with class. You know what I mean? Like you never really thought that you couldn't really count him out, right? Like even when he died, I was like, nah, I'm sure he's somewhere.
I was
on the
thinking, like,
mountains,
I was thinking he jumped out, like grabbed his daughter, jumped
like
out,
real
and they're
superhero stuff,
yeah.
real superhero
Or like
stuff,
action movie, like
yeah, like like to me, Black Panther died to me twice. You know what I mean? Like once on that plane, and then with my man's with the cancer, Chadwick with cancer,
helicopter.
yeah. So helicopter, yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think he's a big part of LA, but I also think it has to do not just with him, but there's a lot of people like that. Like I think LA is just blessed because we're in Hollywood and we have, a lot of different things happen for him. Like you can say the same thing about Kershaw.
Mm-hmm.
And then even if you're not into sports, you can say the same thing about Nipsey Hussle, right? There's all these people that you can see yourself being like regular people, right? Who come from humble beginnings and they make a household name out of themselves, which to me is like the LA dream, right? You want to be that guy. You want to be the Kobe, Kershaw, Nip.
I was gonna say specifically with Kobe, he's not from LA technically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's like the first example of the successful LA transplant. You know what I mean?
Even then, I consider he spent 20 years.
No,
he came
that's
at
what I'm
18.
And he
saying.
came at
Like,
like
he grew up
17.
here.
He came
Like-
at 17. You know
like,
what I mean?
He's a prime example of, for those younger people, like those influencers and whatnot, who come out here and try to make something of themselves. That's what he is. Like
That's
he
what he
came
did.
from a different city, came out to LA. You know, LA is such a big market and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that he was successful here, and the amount of work that he did for the city of LA,
Right.
like not just for the team but for the city itself
Yeah.
and its residents, like it's crazy.
And it's even more important when you think about the trajectory. Like Kobe he was not the biggest guy coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even really polished yet. He
Most
was
athletic, none of that.
undeveloped. And I think the thing about LA that a lot of people will get caught up in is the lights and the glamour, right? The Hollywood. But you won't make it here if you don't really put the work in. And I think
Right.
that's the biggest takeaway from Kobe's career. I mean, we heard countless stories growing up of how crazy he really was, because yes, he was great at basketball, but it didn't come naturally, really. I mean, he had to work to be the level he was at.
And you can't
Mhm.
fold, right?
You can't.
So I think a lot of times, if someone else was in Kobe's situation, they would have folded. From him being the only person on the team who couldn't drink, not even not drinking, he couldn't,
do anything.
he couldn't get into the clubs. He wasn't even 18, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of things that he had to go through, right, and still prevail, really spoke to LA, because that's a lot of people out in LA. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially, us just coming out of college or whatever, we all went through our little phases where it's like, damn, this shit is tough, right? Like
This is real life.
you go through every year, right? Like you're granted to go to the next grade if you do your grades right. Like you're
Right.
granted to, little things. If you do what you're supposed to do, you'll get that automatically.
Right.
In the real world, it doesn't work like that. You can do everything right, and you can still fail, which happened to Kobe sometimes. Sometimes Kobe did everything right in the season, still didn't get that MVP. Still didn't, he
Right.
wasn't glorified to me until after he was done playing. And for him to always come back like, all right, I'm just do it again.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I'm gonna just, okay. So 81 wasn't enough for me to get MVP.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna go to the
back.
finals with this little team. Little
Mhm.
stuff like that. So life lessons. Nip the same way.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you getting it out the mud and things like that. Even for people who didn't grow up with an athletic background, Nip was in the streets. You feel me?
Yeah.
He was doing his game banging stuff to finally figured it out. Like, look, this is a means to no end kind of thing.
Right.
So he got out the mud, selling his mixtapes out the car,
Yep.
selling T-shirts and all that stuff. Ultimately getting to where he was, then opening things like Vector 90. I don't
Right.
know if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so one of my first jobs out of college, again, like I hustled, right? So my first job, wasn't getting any money for it. It was just an free internship. And my first paying job was at Vector 90, right? And so this was like maybe 2 months before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
It was fairly new. I did this network meetings, and I met this woman, and I was her assistant for this fashion thing she was doing. But it was when I tell you a startup from the mud, it was a startup from the mud, right? And what Vector 90 is like a shared workplace type thing, right? So it's for people like college students who might not have the money for Wi-Fi or anything like that. Like, you don't have to go to Starbucks anymore. Vector 90 was that place. If you're an entrepreneur that was trying to get your business started, right? You need an office. You needed like a computer, a workspace.
It's a workspace, yeah.
A nice work, but I mean,
a
dude,
shared workspace.
it was beautiful, but it was in Crenshaw. It was in the Crenshaw district, like in the hood. But you walk in, it's beautiful. Like he gave back to his community in a way that most people didn't.
Yeah,
right?
and to elaborate a little more on that, like what he was saying too, like the people he was choosing too were your first pickings was people within his community.
Yeah.
So if you lived down the street and you had a great idea, you were on that list first. So I think that's like the biggest thing we could get out of that. Like, he's choosing the people in his community first before he's branching out to the people who could afford to be in those places, or people who have the resources to get those companies off the ground, you know?
Right. So when people like Kobe and Nip died, right, a lot of people, like a lot of their future died a little bit with that as well, because they were bringing a lot of people up. Like, for instance, I never worked with that lady again after Vector 90 closed down for that little bit of time, right?
Wow.
So, I mean, obviously I don't know, I'm doing better now, but luckily I got a job at Nike like around that same time, right? So it didn't, like, my money didn't get any lower. It actually got better. But just imagine if that was like my bread and butter, like if I was really just focusing on that. And there was a lot of people who were like that.
I was like, what do I do now?
Exactly. Same thing with Kobe with Mamba Academy. Like, you know, they're going through a whole little thing right now. You know, his wife is suing them. It's a lot of people that go down when good people like that go, which is why the community feels such a way, because it's such an entanglement between the player or the celebrity or rapper and that star.
All the projects they're involved with.
Yeah, all the projects they're involved with. You're really just one big community, right? So when they win, you win. And when they lose, you lose, right? So, Carson, you can speak about this a little more, but just like the community this year, as the Lakers and Dodgers won, right? Like, it was a big difference. You were down there when the Dodgers won, right?
Yeah. Or when the Lakers won, I went down to Staples.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. I went down there when the Dodgers
won. I had a mask on, by the way. And you can feel the energy. You know, when I was a kid and the Lakers would win, we would drive down on Figueroa, and you could feel the energy of the city. You know, fireworks going off, all kinds of things.
We went to a parade together.
2010. And I think the special part, too, for me at least, is when, you know, when players are in LA for a minute and they're that guy, you kind of ride for them in a unique way. A lot of guys come and go. And seeing the progression from getting it out the mud, like we said, to winning, is nothing better than that. Like, for example, I remember when the Dodgers got Clayton Kershaw in 2008. And it was a lot of hype around him because he was the next big thing. And we all know the trials and tribulations he's gone through,
right?
With his playoff performances and the Astros kind of knowing his signs and knowing his pitches. And you had people, myself included, who were really fed up, ready to, you know, ask for him to be traded, because we're that fed up with never getting over the hump. And to see the Dodgers win, but see Kershaw specifically perform on the biggest stage, and other players too for the Lakers as well, but for the Dodgers specifically, it's nothing better than that. You feel like you grew with that player, and their success, like you said, is our success.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, just riding through the losses, you know, not switching up teams, sticking it through. It's kind of a reoccurring theme in this whole podcast that we've been talking about is perseverance.
Right.
And
demanding excellence. Like, I think with LA,
we only accept excellence.
And
that's why
not
I
just
think
in
the
sports.
fan bases are so rabid.
Yeah.
We expect nothing but greatness.
But it's from all aspects of life. It's not just like sports is one part, but even in our own lives, we really like, you know, it's really keeping up with the Joneses for a reason, because we want to let everyone know, like, I'm doing well, you know?
Yeah, like it's not a good mindset to want to let everybody know what you're doing, but ultimately what it comes down to is personally wanting to level up.
That's why keeping up with the Joneses is such a big thing, is like, you want to, one, acknowledge yourself that you're doing well, but also let other people know you're doing well.
Yeah, that's definitely an LA thing.
Yeah, it's an LA thing for sure. In Oregon, when I went to school in Oregon, people wore what they wanted to wear. You know, it was lovely to see, but it was so different. Like, it's really not like that out here. You know what I mean? Like, you come out here and you have to keep up, drip or drown.
You
type
have
thing.
no choice.
You really have no choice, man. You're dealing with superstars, athletes, scammers, drug dealers,
fake rappers.
You know, like
Fake
it's
rappers / scammers.
fake rappers / scammers. Like it's
EDD scammers.
EDD. Like it's there's so many ways that people are getting money out here. Not saying that's the only way of success, but that is one way, right? There's so many people who are successful out here on paper that it's almost like it's a standard that you have to be somewhat successful to make it out here.
Right,
And-
but also don't get lost in the whole image of it.
Right.
You know?
Successful
Yeah.
to me is just not being homeless, right? Successful to me is not being complacent with
Just being
With where
comfortable.
you're at.
Yeah.
with where
I
you
think
at.
success is comfortability.
And
As long as
Exactly.
you're comfortable, you're successful.
But also, you know, LA will chew you up and spit you out if you're not really about what you say you're about, right? If you're not really bettering yourself and being about your craft, that image stuff doesn't last. Like you'll
Yeah.
find yourself struggling quick if you don't have a plan, if you don't have something that you can execute and actually work on progressing over time. And I think you see that a lot. Someone mentioned influencers come out here, right?
Yeah.
LA is not some fantasy land where you're here and now your dreams come true. Like it's where you put the work in.
Mhm.
And if you're lucky enough and you work hard enough, you might see some fruits of that labor, but you have to put the work in, most definitely.
Like, yeah, there's opportunity, but you gotta go get it yourself.
And you got to fight for it because there's people already here who are trying to get that
Exactly.
same opportunity.
What makes you stand out?
Are you willing to couch,
Couch
surf on your friend's couch
Mhm.
and take 5 interviews a day and apply to so many different jobs, or start up that own business of yours and ride with it from the ground up and not give up and really do what you got to do to make it happen? If not, like, you might want to go back to where you came from because that's really what it is out here. It's
Shit
tough.
ain't sweet out here.
It's not, and a whole lot of nepotism too. So if you
Would
really
you
don't,
say Shadow Man Germ?
oh, Shadow Man said something.
I said Drew's over here inspiring me right now. He's giving me a good motivational speech.
I'm just saying it's facts. Like I don't know. I think we've all kind of grew a little bit in these past 2-3 years out of college and really recognized some things where I know I definitely thought it was going to be an easier road than it was.
I moved back home because I thought it was gonna be easier. Just knowing that I can live at home.
Uh-huh.
And not have to
It is
pay
hard.
Yeah.
It's still hard. That's. But the thing is, it's easier for you than it is for that person couch surfing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got a leg up.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And it's still tough.
and it's still tough, right? But you can't fold. Like Kobe didn't fold, like Nip didn't fold. Like that's really why they're so important to our communities, because everyone out here, as much as you think they're doing well, they're struggling, right?
Mhm.
In any type of way, everyone's working hard trying to get to where they want to go and be comfortable. So when you see people like Kobe and Nip really make it and then help other people make it too.
And the focus that they put into their own craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not worrying about what it looked like and just putting in that work regardless of who was around, who was watching and whatnot.
Facts.
But then also knowing that if somebody is watching, like, well, I'm gonna show out then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we're talking about perseverance and like people we look up to, people other people look up to. So who are some impactful people that y'all might look up to? Not, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the LA community, but people who do things in the community that you idolize, you know?
Okay. Start from the right. Carson, you can start that.
Man, that's a good. Does that be one person individually? Or?
Whoever you want. It can be multiple people, one person. I'll go first. Look, I'll say my first person, and I'll just keep it at LA thing, is LeBron. I mean, for
Yeah.
all the criticism and stuff he gets, I think he's a fantastic person. You know, with I Promise School, giving people, our kids who are less fortunate education, that's a big jump to stopping that rift in between generations. His activism, I wouldn't say he's like the Muhammad Ali or anything, but whatever he's strong about, feels strong about, he's speaking up about it and doing actionable items to kind of fix that.
I would give him. I'll give him a grade under Ali. I think Ali did some things.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm
really-
saying. He's not on like
No,
him.
but I think I'm giving him praise.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think he's really close. The only thing he can do is if he got drafted for war and said no, which doesn't happen anymore, right? So
Yeah.
I can't put him above that. But like, he's done some really impressive things to where even if you don't like the way he plays,
There's no reason you shouldn't like him off
you
the court.
can't.
I was gonna
you
say
can't not
off
like
the
him off the
court,
court.
he's such a great example. So it's
Such
like
a great
you can't.
from top to bottom,
But
top
even
to bottom.
Continuing that, like we were talking about him being a pioneer, kind of like engineering how athletes are today, kind of taking control of their own destiny and how
Yeah.
they want to go about things. And this is entrepreneurship. Like he has a hand in literally everything,
Yeah.
from pizza to Space Jam.
He's starting tequila.
Tequila. Yeah, shout out Lobos.
Right.
Uh,
If they want to sponsor us, you know,
Facts,
I'm
big
not against
facts.
it.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Did I tell you guys that my little cousin was at LeBron's house?
Yeah. You did. For a birthday party? Right?
Yeah. So I just want to know, when do you guys think she'll realize that she's cooler than me? She's like 3, right? She's like 4 or 5 right now.
It won't
2
take
years.
long.
No, I give her
It won't
6th
take
grade.
long.
I give her 6th grade.
Basically,
6th grade.
It won't even be 6th grade because these
2 or 3
kids are
years.
on social media like that. So the fact that she knows how many followers they got versus you got,
They see that blue
That's a
check,
wrap.
bro. It's over.
Yeah. So I guess she's friends with LeBron's daughter. They're at the her birthday party in her playhouse.
Shout out Ziri.
so if LeBron wants to set something up, sponsor us, whatnot, give us
You know what I
tips,
mean? You
tricks.
Talk to my little cousin, and then I'm gonna have my little cousin talk to her dad, and then I'm gonna have her dad talk to V. Okay.
And we'll
that's
set up
what's
a
gonna
play
happen.
date.
We'll set up a play
We'll
date
set
or
up
something
a
like
play
that,
date.
and we'll talk business.
Facts, but yeah, continue on his entrepreneurship, even with his production studios and all that. Like, he has a hand in everything. And I don't know if you guys saw, but he was trying to do a Team LeBron under Nike and have Luka
Yeah,
as
that
his
would've
first
been
outfit.
I saw that. I peeped that.
So it's just
Fire.
stuff like that. It's like you kind of have you do have a choice, but like he's definitely someone a lot of people should and do already look up to.
Most definitely.
I was gonna say he definitely didn't, and probably he still doesn't get the respect he deserves. And so when he said that when they won the championship, how he needs his respect and he wants his respect, like I feel him because I'm a Laker fan and I can't lie, not necessarily hated him, but I wasn't the biggest fan of him because it was like, don't dethrone my GOAT,
I feel that.
don't dethrone Kobe.
Yeah.
But him coming to LA is like, he's a great player. You can't knock him for the way he plays
Right.
and what he brings to the table.
And he brought a championship.
And then on top of that, he brought the championship. And then, as you were saying, his mindset as an entrepreneur, it's like, damn, bro, what don't you do? You know what I mean?
Facts.
He does it all. He does it all.
My question is for you, girl. When does he sleep?
He probably sleeps a lot, bro.
I don't know, because of his training regimen.
Takes his little wine and he's out, bro.
When his wife puts him to bed.
I think he just takes a lot of
Hello.
naps. But you know what I think? A lot of successful people don't sleep often.
That's what they say.
I mean, Kobe. We all know Kobe didn't get much sleep.
Kobe didn't get much
I could see
sleep.
LeBron not
I
getting
know
much sleep.
Diddy
either.
doesn't get a lot of sleep. It's a
Drake's
thing.
sleeping good though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's because sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry.
But Drake, I think when Drake really puts in the work, he doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
There's no
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Like he'll put out like 2 albums and then he'll sleep for the rest of the year. But those 2 albums be so spaced out, you don't even know he's not working.
But even then, his entrepreneurial pursuits are probably going on even while he's sleeping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he might be sleeping in terms of music, but everything else he's doing is still moving.
OVO, his money's making money for him now. He didn't sleep for a while. Now he can probably sleep.
OVO is the business, man.
For me, I would say it's Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
I respect that.
When you hear his story, which I mean, I'm not gonna act like I got it from the slums like he did, but it's very similar. I think he started out not making any money working. I started out not making any money working. It really goes hand in hand, and him really having a passion in sports and me having the same passion. It's really like a blueprint that I could follow, right? And for him to make like groundbreaking contract deals with ESPN as a black man, being able to be loud and himself on his own show and talk about his own.
Emphasis on own show.
I was gonna say you sound
It's
like
his
a-
show.
It's his
Yeah.
show. You know what I mean? It's his show, and so he does whatever he wants, says whatever he wants on ESPN, which is big. I don't think people realize.
It's a big network.
That's what I'm saying. His show on primetime morning
Mm-hmm.
slot.
Yeah, that's a
It's
big
crazy.
deal. You know what I mean? And so I don't think that's something I always look up to when I see him, and then him always just talking about black issues, and sometimes he even makes himself the bad guy. So the conversation could be talked about more. And I think people don't really understand that they do that he does that, and he doesn't make it a big deal, but I see it. You know what I mean? Like everything he says is for a reason, whether he knows he's right or he knows he's wrong. He wants you to talk about it, right? So I think
And
sometimes it's
that's
chess.
that's a shift from when we were kids, right? You
Yeah.
would never see that on ESPN before.
Yeah, no.
And now he's
The most you saw as kids is like dude like whoop or whatever.
Oh, I know you're talking. The football dude.
Yeah. You just hear little stuff like that. But Kyler,
What's up?
before we wrap it up, we're talking about our different paths.
Make
and
sure to wrap it up.
Make sure to wrap it up. Watch our last episode, right? Before we wrap it up, I want you to kind of talk about your journey, basically in terms of becoming an official nurse, and for someone who might want to follow in your footsteps or is going through that same path,
Just need some advice.
just some advice. And
I'm gonna
just
try to keep it brief.
okay.
The main thing I want to say is if you're not sure that you want to be a nurse, I would say don't go to nursing school straight up.
Okay.
Because you'll waste your time. Like going into school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I decided, you know what, I do want to be a nurse. And for me, what it took was volunteering at a hospital and seeing what nurses do. Like actually seeing nurses' work days and what it's like for them. And so what people don't realize is nurses, there's a lot of different avenues you can go into. There's a lot of different work that you can do as a nurse. Like you don't have to work at a hospital. It's some nurses who don't even actually see patients. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nurses who sometimes do case management. So you could be in the office. You know what I mean? There's some nurses who work, they do like law stuff. So they are in the courtroom as like a professional witness and whatnot. And they give their input on what what a nurse should be doing versus what that nurse specifically that's on that's like being charged or whatever, like who's being sued and whatnot. It's trying to figure out what they should have been doing and what the average nurse what their mindset would be and what is up to standards as a nurse. So it's just crazy to see a lot of people go to nursing school and come out and not actually even want to be a nurse. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people who go through it. It's a lot of debt that you can go into trying to go to nursing school. It's not easy. You know what I mean?
Speak on it.
It's not for everybody. So school alone, it's like, all right, I don't like school. So it's like if you don't like school and you don't even like what you're going into, which is more of a general thing. It's not just nursing.
Right.
In any field, like don't go to college wanting to get a degree just for the sake of getting a degree. You know what I mean? Go to college with a good mindset and knowing well what you want to do with your degree. Because it could be a waste. It could be a big waste of time. It could be a big waste of money. Not everybody's fortunate enough to get scholarships. Not everybody's fortunate enough to be able to pay for college out of pocket and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you're unsure of what you want to do, then don't force yourself to do it.
I like that. I'll say at least go to college for a year because shit's lit.
No, it's crazy. That's what I'm saying. If you have the opportunity to go to college, do it. You know what I mean? If you could go to a big college, do
Go
it.
to a big college.
Yeah.
Please. That's
Let
where the
me
real
tell
fun
you.
is.
Well,
But
that'd be another episode, man.
Right. That's why.
another
Like
episode.
I could go more into it, but in another episode. I
Yeah.
feel like we kind of reached
Capacity. Time. All right. You are rocking with the Kontent Kingz. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in. We love the support. Please keep it up. We're getting better each episode.
Subscribe.
Tell a friend to tell a friend to
this
tell
should be-
their friends.
I was gonna say this should be our first video, so
Yeah, so check us out. We'll
On
have a
you-
video for us too.
I was gonna say on YouTube, hit the comments, tell
the
us what
link.
you like,
Hit
tell
the
us
link
what you
right
didn't
there.
like.
The link right there. Make sure you put that link right there.
Somewhere over there.
All right.
Yeah, up
But-
there, down there, maybe to the left. I don't know.
Oh, we're
We're
on
on
Twitter
Twitter.
too.
We're on
What's the
Twitter.
Twitter handle?
At Kontent Kingz _.
_Kontent Kingz.
So at Kontent Kingz _.
Okay.
Oh,
as
it's
the
So-
Kontent Kingz _.
With K's.
Okay.
Content with a K.
Yeah,
with
content and
a
then
Z.
Z. Kontent
end of
Kingz with a
Kingz.
Z _.
We'll put that in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. But all right, thanks for rocking with us, y'all.
Thanks for rocking with us.
Peace out.
Peace.
Kick it in the north side, looking for a vibe on a Friday night. Shit, ain't that right? Me and both my niggas kick it in the north side, looking for a vibe on a Friday night. Shit, ain't that right? Me and both my niggas kick it in the north side, looking for a vibe on a Friday night. Shit, ain't that right? Me and both my niggas kick it in the north